if you live in the UK and you do not have a lot of money, because right now the United Kingdom is experiencing a cost of living crisis, it must have been absolutely infuriating for you to watch. Charles got up in his robes with his gold jewelry. He had who knows how many people supporting him, golden swords, just every symbol of wealth and opulence. And I don't know about you, but if, let's say, the president of the United States were sworn into office that way, I would be very pissed off because, look, your king and your president, your leaders are supposed to be representative of you. So this just is not acceptable for a country going through such a cost of living crisis right now. But this followed the death of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, who I'm sure every single person on earth knows. She passed away last year at the age of 95. So if there's some good genetics in that family, Charles will probably be king for a while going on. Of course, in the coronation, there was all sorts of family drama with Harry and Meghan, Princess Anne going off against Charles's plans for the monarchy, Sarah Ferguson not being invited at all. But today we want to talk more about the political, social, and economic sides of the coronation. Particularly, we can dive into, there were some anti-monarchy protests occurring side by side with the coronation, and there were arrests at these protests that many protesters deemed to be unjustified. But before I go any further, I want to get Jen and Mallory's opinions. Just what did you think of the coronation? Okay. Whether it's the way it went down or what you even think of it in the first place.
Yeah, I actually didn't watch it. And this is because my concept of this is like, I hate the amount of waste on all of this. Like, to me, it's very offensive. But I feel like that about our things here too, by the way. Like, I feel that way about our inaugural balls and all. Like, I think all of that is just so like elitist and wasteful. So I'm not a fan. And what I am curious about is that I noticed that Prince Edward is there. And I'm wondering if any of the protests outside had anything to do with the fact that, you know, he was buddy-buddy with Epstein, and that has not gone unnoticed.
Oh, do you mean Andrew?
Oh, sorry.
Edward's like the only good brother.
Okay, I'm sorry.
He's the low-key one.
So Andrew's not in this picture then?
No.
So that's why. Okay, never mind. I was so curious. I'm like, why would he be in that picture? Okay, never mind.
He was essentially fired as what's called a working member of the royal family. So Prince Harry and Meghan, they step back from being working members. That basically means that you're still obviously a member of the family, but you don't carry out official duties. And because of that, you don't get the official benefits that go along with it, like a security detail from the United Kingdom's government or an official salary or pension. And because of that, Andrew technically wasn't even supposed to show up to the coronation in his military uniform, but he showed up in it anyway. So let's see if
so he was there.
Yeah, he had to sit in, I think, like 10th row. Something far away like that, which, you know, if that's the worst thing that happens to you after everything you did, must be nice.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, where the non-working members of the royal family were seated was very near to the actual throne, and the canopy area. I forgot what they call it. It's not the canopy, but it's the thing that conceals the monarch as they're being anointed. And I was thinking about people making such a fuss over where Andrew was seated, where Harry was seated. And I was thinking there's people who would absolutely kill to be seated that close to the monarch. So I think a lot of the coronation was much ado about nothing. And I have to tell you, I too intended to stay up all night or to watch the entire thing. I was underwhelmed by it. And I was underwhelmed by it because I, as someone who really loves England, I really love the United Kingdom. And in a very distinct sense, I'm supportive of the continuity that the monarchy seems to provide. But this is with a huge asterisk. Please do not think that I'm not judgmental and
nice here.
I really wasn't overwhelmed with the emotion that I thought that I would be. And I thought that was actually a good thing because this is a bad time to be self-congratulatory and grandiose. And I thought that they could have gone a lot harder on the grandiosity if they would have chosen to. So actually I fell asleep. And I
was that good, huh? That exciting.
I came to during the crowning, but I missed Zadok the priest, which was the moment that I really wanted to be awake for when he was anointed. But I missed that, and then I also was kind of like watching on my phone with Camilla being crowned, and that was a very significant moment, and I'm sure that we'll go into why that was. But I did have a chance to watch it, and those were my thoughts, and those continue to be my thoughts today, about a week after, or almost a week after the coronation. Because
I am curious about that, and I didn't watch it, but I do obviously see that somehow Camilla has been bestowed status that she was not that nobody, I don't think from my generation would have ever wanted her to be bestowed, for all petty and very childish reasons. But what is exactly her title now? Like, what is her status?
She's the queen consort.
Queen consort.
But a lot of times she likes to forget the consort part.
Right. I think that's Charles also that likes. I think that's also Charles that wants her to not be considered to be anything less than a full. She's not a queen regnant because she's not queen by blood. She's queen by marriage. And so the spouse of the monarch regnant is typically the consort. But for purposes of her being accepted, I do think that there is a concerted effort to not add the word consort behind her name, just like they typically would not have done with other spouses of the monarch in the past as well. So
I hear you. I just don't know that I'm ever referring to the booger picker as queen. I'm just not feeling it. Sorry. I don't know. Are you familiar with that, Jaden, by the way? With Camilla?
I mean, yeah. My British friends have a nickname for her. They call her the Rottweiler.
Why that? That's interesting.
Okay, hear me out though. Camilla as she is, she honestly is a genius. She played the long game and she ended up as Queen of the United Kingdom. Like, girl knew what she was doing this whole time.
You think that?
I think so. I mean, there was a huge effort.
She would have done it the easy. She would have rather done it the easy way. Like, I think that I don't think this is how she wanted it to go down from the beginning, right? Like that's
honestly, guys, I'm not quite sure that I do not necessarily think that Camilla set out to be queen. And I'm this is my neutral standpoint. This is not me standing for Camilla. I understand her faults and her shortcomings and things that I have judged regarding her. I think that she would, if she had her way, she would have just lived an anonymous life.
I don't think she wanted to be queen. I think she just wanted Charles. And I think she would have rather had it in the original way. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, I don't think she cared one way or the other.
But Charles 100% wanted her to be his queen. And that because of his station in life, that was going to be the way that it was going to be. And he was determined to have that happen from the time basically that he moved towards marrying her. I mean, that was always his intention.
Yeah.
Let's be real. And now he has his way and he has her as queen and that's the way that it is. And now, of course, that's a gilded cage because they're in the fishbowl and they're going to be under a microscopic scrutiny for the rest of their lives.
Well, yeah. And so Braden, this is a good segue into the next piece. Like, so obviously not everybody is so receptive about the monarchy. So yeah, let's get into that.
Yeah, and actually before we get into that, because I'm assuming most of our viewers are American, I want to get into just briefly the powers of the king and queen, because I feel like for us as Americans, we see them as just being another group of celebrities, like the British version of the Kardashians. But the truth is that they do hold some power. So mostly it's a name only. What happens is the British monarch serves as the head of state. So what that means is that they're technically in charge of Britain's foreign relations, Also, the monarch, be it the king or the queen, they have to formally assign every single bill that Parliament approves. Additionally, they technically appoint each new prime minister, and they serve as commander-in-chief of the British Armed Forces, although the common theme is that in all of this, it's in name only, because at this point, they can't express their own opinions. So none of this is really happening because they're just diehard fans of certain policies. It's just because they're doing whatever basically Parliament tells them to. But there has been very strong opposition to them for obvious reasons. And this culminated in protest against the coronation of Charles. So many groups, especially the Republican anti-monarchy groups, were planning protests against the coronation. Some were protesting Prince Andrew being there, not so much the monarchy itself, but most of them were to abolish it. And there have been some very controversial actions taken by the London police. So many of these anti-monarchy protesters, for starters, groups were receiving letters from the London city administration and London police basically saying, like, hey, don't try anything at the monarchy or at the coronation tomorrow, otherwise we will take action. And at least 10 protesters were detained under suspicious reasons. So the London police said that basically their reason for arresting these protesters is because some of them were carrying, I'm going to put out a trigger warning, rape whistles. And they were charging that these protesters were basically somehow planning on using rape whistles to create mass chaos, which I'm not really sure how that could happen. So that's their official justification. But some of these protesters were held for over 16 hours on end before being released. And basically nobody has any idea what's going on. The largest leaders in Parliament, so the leaders of parliamentary committees, they have started opening official investigations into what actually happened with these arrests, and if there was any sort of coordinated effort to stamp down any opposition to the coronation.
Yeah, this is not surprising. And I would think that this has been brewing for as many years as our movement on the left brews here. Like we don't really ever get this side of the news when we read about things overseas. But I've always been kind of keenly aware that like the people that are my counterparts would be the anti-monarchy people over in the UK, and that this is something that I would imagine is an ongoing thing. And it just is not, like you said, it's not the priority. I know that you have some stats. Mallory, what are you, I mean, when you were there, did you see a lot of, or any protesting at any of these events?
No, I'll be honest. I lived in Exeter, which is in Devon in the southwestern part of the country of England. I don't know how deep we need to go into what is England, what is the United Kingdom.
No.
But it's in the southwestern part of the nation. And honestly, I really did not feel any royal influence in the lives of those around me. People weren't really speaking about the royals. I've heard a lot more about the royals being in the United States than I ever did in the United Kingdom. But from what I understand from the media that I follow that are commenting on the royals, like there's this one particular channel on YouTube who I'm a huge fan of. It's River. Their name is River, and they pretty much provide daily broadcasts about things particularly relating to Meghan and Harry. But other than like the London and certain country quarters where there's wealth concentrated, I don't really think that most people are talking very much about the royal family. I don't think it affects their lives. I think that they're more focused on the issues going on with governance, with inflation in the United Kingdom, with the price of energy, and the fallout of leaving the European Union.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.